What's up, everybody? Today we are going to be doing a Beauty and the Beast cake. I love Beauty and the Beast. It is one of my favorite movies growing up, of course, because like classic Disney princesses, need I say more. So with the new live action movie coming out, I have had this cake planned for like 6 months, and I'm so excited to show you guys how to make a twirling Beauty and the Beast dress as if she's, you know, like just twirling around the dance floor. My name is Lori, and you're watching The Icing Artist. To make this cake, we are going to be carving a very weird shape. And that's because her dress is going to be twirling around the dance floor, so her dress is going to be just like flowing out. You are going to need a 12-inch cake, a 10-inch cake, and a 6-inch cake, all with holes into the middle of them so that way our Barbie can go right down into it, as well as a 12-inch cake board, again with a hole. I slapped some icing on my cake board. I started stacking up my cake, starting with my 12 and then my 10 and then my 6-inch cake, all with icing in between each layer. I thought it would be really fun to put yellow buttercream on the inside of this cake so that way it was like that classic Beauty and the Beast yellow all throughout the cake. Now it is time to carve this cake, and the shape just gets even more weird from here. You're going to cut off all those sharp angles kind of going around from the round cake so it looks more like a cone. You want to do that going all the way around the cake so it's nice and even. You want one of her side to be dipped in and the other one to be poking out, and then she's going to be looking all like lopsided and stuff. Just try to do it evenly. Now that we have our cone, it is time to like dip it in, you know, like that, so it kind of starts at her waist and dips in and then flows out. If you want to go an extra step, you guys could put on a big dress and just do a bunch of different spinning and see how the dress flows out, and that's the kind of cake you want to carve. Carving away the middle, little bit by little bit. You don't want to go too heavy. It's easier to take more cake off than to have taken too much cake off and try to put it back on. It doesn't work that way, guys. Once you are happy with the shape of her dress, and again, it looks very strange at this point, but believe me, it'll all start coming together when we put the Barbie in with all the fondant. Trust me. But once you're happy with it, you're ready to crumb coat it. So again, with that yellow buttercream icing, I'm going to put a nice thick coat of icing over the whole cake, smoothing that out with my offset spatula. To finish just smoothing it out, to make sure it's, you know, perfectly smooth, I'm going to use a piece of paper towel, just rub that on and pull that off. My full buttercream recipe, I will leave a link right here for you guys. And of course, if you guys aren't subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button down below, because I do put out new videos every single week, and you guys don't want to miss what I put out next week. It could be something that's really cool. And don't forget to hit that notification bell that's right beside the subscribe button, because YouTube is doing strange things, and you might not get notified when I put up a new video. Now that her dress is ready to go, you want to set that aside, and it's time for the very weird part of this cake. Because her dress is flowing out, the cake has to be actually lifted up off the cake board. If it wasn't, it'd be like flowing out and sitting on the cake board, and it would look very weird. To do that, we're gonna need to do like structure and cake boards and dowels and stuff. To do this, I'm gonna use a 14-inch cake board and 4 dowels. I cut those dowels all 2 inches high, sharpened the one end, and hammered them onto the cake board so that way they will support the dress. And to keep the dress from sliding off, we're going to do one right in the middle. To make sure it was going to stay in place and not fall off, because that would be terrible, I just glued in with some hot glue. The small ones were very tight, so I didn't feel like I needed the glue, but if you guys want to side on the side of caution, then put the glue in. Not that anybody is going to see this, but if anybody kind of looked down at the cake, this would look very weird. So to cover it up, I'm just going to create a skirt underneath my skirt with some paper, and then tape that in a little circle to go on top. No one will ever know. Now that our structure is ready to go, we can place our cake on top of that. I did put that centered towel in a little bit off-centered, so that way when the Barbie went in, she would go in centered. Then I slid my Barbie right through the cake, down onto the cake board, so her feet are actually standing onto the cake board. For the dress color, I used lemon yellow food coloring with a little bit of gold into it to get that perfect color. Now it's time to cover Barbie up. To do that, I'm going to use my yellow fondant. I just rolled that out, cut out a rectangle, and then wet it with some water and drape that around. Kind of pinched it together at the back, and then trimmed it off on both sides so that we have a nice seam going up. We're going to add the straps on later, so don't worry about that. Now her shirt is like embossed. I don't know if that's the word or not. You guys can let me know in the comment section, but it has all these like ruching and ruffles and stuff on it. So that's what we're gonna do with our veining tool. So I made like a V and then another V. So that way I knew where the lines were gonna go. So that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna lightly dig that into our fondant to kind of create all of those pretty lines all over her top. And this actually worked and looked really cute. I was kind of worried that it was gonna fail. Now because Belle's dress has 3 different kind of panels going around it and it's going to be twisting, we're going to be doing this in lots of little twisted sections. So for each ruffle section, we're going to roll a rectangle of yellow fondant. It needs to be quite long because you'll be surprised how much fabric you actually lose by the time you start ruffling it together. Pick that piece up and just sway it back and forth, and it just kind of went into like a ruffled little pile of fondant. Spread it out a little bit more and then twist it on an angle. I then flatten the top edge of it with the palm of my hand, just so that way the next layer can kind of overlay on top of it. I applied a little bit of water to my icing and then carefully placed my fondant drapery, twisty fabric onto the cake. And you just want to continue that way over and over, going all the way around the cake. I don't know if I had a favorite Disney princess growing up. I'd say Belle and Cinderella were probably both my 2 favorites. I loved all the Disney movies, and I still do. I still have all of them on DVD. It's really funny. If we ever go to the movies, we always end up going to the kids' movies than the adult movies because I just love the kids' movies. And of course, one of my favorite scenes in the movie is of Belle on the dance floor, is of her twisting around with this gorgeous dress. Like, everybody knows what the Beauty and the Beast Belle dress looks like because it's just one of those dresses that stands out in your mind because it was just so over the top. Would like to take a moment and say how much I love her dress. It is absolutely gorgeous and super jealous right now and wish I could have a giant princess ball gown. We're going to do the same thing with the top of the cake, except we're not going to smush the fondant this time. Instead, you're just going to leave it kind of like fully length without smushing it with your hand and place that on top of the cake. Once you have that going all the way around the Barbie, you can start trimming off that excess so it kind of wraps around her waist, except her waist goes into that V shape. So make sure you kind of carve off their extra fondant right into that V shape. I'm going to flatten that top little edge and kind of smoosh it into the Barbie a little bit. I'm going to wet it with some water and then place another strip of fondant on top, just kind of joining those seams so it wasn't just like this awkward looking dress. Now it's time to put Belle's arms in place, and to do this I just kept doing this and twisting around, trying to figure out how your arms would be if you were twisting around the dance floor. So that's kind of how I placed her arms. Now to finish off our cake, our Belle dress needs some straps on her dress. And strangely, this was one of my favorite details of the cake. I just felt like it came all together with this. But I love the way it kind of came into the center of the shirt. It just sort of like came all together in this little point. And what princess doesn't need a bunch of glitter on her princess gown? So I'm gonna sparkle this thing up with lots of edible glitter all over the dress. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I absolutely loved making this cake. I have wanted to make this cake for so long, and I'm so happy I was finally able to share it with you guys. And of course, what Barbie is going to be able to twirl around the dance floor if we don't put it on a turntable? So I have a little electric turntable that I put on, and Belle is just going to be sitting there twirling around all night at the party. I love Disney princesses, I love Beauty and the Beast, I love cakes, so this one was just like overall exactly what I wanted to make. I love that it's Beauty and the Beast, but I love that I added that extra element to it where she's twisting around the dance floor. And of course, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video as much as I did. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. If you aren't already subscribed, hit this little floating head right here and subscribe to my channel so you guys don't miss when I put out a new video, and you guys can check out some more of my videos over here. I will leave links for you. Don't forget to come here back again next week because we will be making something else into cake. Bye guys.